Welcome to Fearlessly Made You. I am your host, Kristie Tobias. Joining me today are guests just striving to dominate in their personal and professional lives while answering the question, what does it mean to be fearlessly made? On this episode of Fearlessly Made You, guys, I actually can't control my laughter right now, which is absolutely fine. We have one of my most wonderful friends, Becca McKeithen. She is the president and executive director of FoodRaising Friends, and also by far one of the most hilarious people I've ever met. We're going to try and get through this entire conversation without dying in laughter, but that's a lie. We're just going to enjoy ourselves. So Becca,
yes.
Welcome to Fearlessly Made You.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You. And I'm sorry that, I already, came in with such a splash. I didn't even mean to. I'm having to calm myself down a little bit.
It's beautiful. Everyone should come in with a splash. Let's be honest. That is Fearlessly Made You, if we're being really honest with ourselves. So yeah. I think, we're going to start with the toast. We have a little bit of, little wine to have our little day, spice it up a little bit. So Becca, I think one of the cool things that I love about you is your ability to just walk into a room and bring your own energy and it's true, and this authenticity. And so I kind of wanted to start there as we acclimate you to the Fearlessly Made You crew, and so other people can learn more about you. I want to know where this vivaciousness, this fun-loving, beautiful, wonderful spirit that you have, where did all of this come from? So tell our Fearlessly Made You crew a little bit about yourself.
Oh, well, you're so kind. Even to the point that while I was getting ready today, I was like, I had texted you and I was like, I just want to look as fabulous as you.
Always.
And here's the thing. At the end of the day, I ended up coming, in a little bit more casual attire. I wear my tennis shoes a lot. I've even spoken at events in a suit with my sneakers.
Love it.
Because I think that I've gone through this period of time of just embracing who I am and what makes me comfortable, and that me being comfortable in situations is kind of paramount to my success in those situations.
Yes.
And so I definitely feel like that has been a learning curve to really both embrace myself, but also just have this acceptance of when I go into a space, I'm good enough as not that I don't ever need to try, but that I'm good enough as is, that who I am is enough. And, I look at you and I go, you are so fabulous. Your hair is always amazing. Your outfits are always on par. I love spending time with you. I love kind of watching you because I'm also I am big into fashion a little bit.
We're just going to keep Becca on the show. She's just going to be sitting next to me. She's like, you look great, honey.
Yes. But I love watching fashion. I love seeing how people dress, and because I do feel like what we put on the outside is often a representation of who we are on the inside. So I have just decided that I've kind of this cool casual vibe is where I want to embrace at this time in my life. Who knows, in 4 years I may decide that I want to be some bad, suity type of girl and just live it up that way. And I'm okay with changing too.
I like that.
And I think that is something about just wholly embracing yourself and embracing your journey. One thing that I love about my dad is 100% who he is all the time. He is the guy that would absolutely show up to church with jeans that had a hole in them, that were not intentionally there. This was before that was a thing.
Yes.
And the shirt, he worked as a tree guy, and then now he's in subcontracting for projects on homes and buildings. And so, he always has paint on him or something. And I feel my dad, no matter where he went, people always loved him.
Yeah.
And it had nothing to do with how he looked, but what was coming from the inside out. But the honest truth is how he looked was a huge part of who he was.
Absolutely.
And so I don't think you can ever, judge a book by the cover. People surprise you all the time.
I love that.
But I think that when we are cool with ourselves, that's just a huge, I think that's a really important thing for both our mental health and just self-care and self-love, just because today was tough. I was I actually had an outfit that I bought specifically for this that was pants with hearts all over them.
I love it.
Because hearts are my thing. I was going to come on here like lighting up. Like I was looking like I was going to the Pride Parade downtown.
Sometimes you are, yeah.
I mean, it was like huge. Like there's all these like hearts, and I got this blue top, and I have these heart earrings, and I also would wear that with tennis shoes and love it.
Yes.
And I put it on this morning. I was like, this is not.
It wasn't it.
It wasn't flying today.
Today wasn't the day for
Well,
it.
if I'm being honest, I was just a little, bloated. So I was like, it was just,
Cheers to that. Cheers to being bloated.
That's just
sometimes.
honest.
Yes.
It didn't look on me like I wanted it to. And so scrapped that, cried, because it didn't work out like the way I wanted.
Yes.
And then I found this, and I was like, okay, I'm going to wear that.
So I love, first of all, so much to unpack, which is fantastic. So I love, and let's lean into something that I want everyone, as you were listening, as you are watching, my Fearlessly Made You crew watchers, something that Becca said that I think we have to remind ourselves of is sometimes you just have to scrap it. Like sometimes you just have to be like, nope, this isn't going to work. And I think too, and it's funny because as you were talking about, there's more, to a book than its cover. We talk about Fearlessly Made You, the book, and that it was the focus, kind of this is the spin-off of that. And a lot of it is because it's about just being authentically you. Mm-hmm. And it's the reality that my authentic self, Becca's authentic self are two different people. And it should be, and that should be embraced. And who we are should always be embraced. And I think that's the thing that I love the most about you is you're like, I'm here, this is who I am. But then you're also like, but I can be messy. And there are moments like when I'm crying because my pants don't fit because I'm bloated. And that's okay.
It's so real.
It's so real
today.
It's the same thing. And it's funny because when we film these episodes, I think most of the Fearlessly Made You crew knows this, but for those of you that do not, we'll enlighten you. We film multiple episodes at once. And in filming, I have like multiple different outfits. Mm-hmm. I will like at midnight be in like an outfit. I literally did this probably last night. I was like in an outfit and I was like, no. And like just cast guard, like put it away. And I was like, I can't, or discard it. I was like, I can't. But it sounds so silly, but it's the reality. Like it is a great representation of sometimes when stuff does not work, you figure something else out and you make that work and you embrace it and embrace exactly who you are, which I think is great. But I think something else that you said that I want to lean into is you've gotten to this point of being there. So let's talk a little bit about where you were and how you got to this point.
Well, do you know what's so funny? I think about me and you, and you were kind of saying, how our authentic selves are different. And yet we're both business women.
Yep.
You work for a large corporation. I founded what is now my job.
Yes.
Which I think is just totally amazing.
Yes, and we're going to totally unpack that. Don't
I
worry.
appreciate that.
Yes.
We don't have to, but
no, we will.
Is that professionalism can look different.
Yes.
And that there is not one that is better or the worse, because sometimes I think, especially as women,
yes,
where we were kind of talking about this a little earlier, but like men, there is a little bit more of a generalized look. Whether it's suits or this. With women, there's so many options in professional attire, or how we look or how we present ourselves. Also, that we are kind of breaking this glass ceiling when it comes to women in business, and women really kind of gaining more respect than ever before in history. And so I go, it's amazing that you and I both love to public speak. We both love to capture the attention of a room. We both love to do those things, but we don't go in there looking the same or with the same vibe. I think mine is like, almost like, I think I walk in the room, and people might look and go, oh, does she belong here? And then I open my mouth and they're like, oh, yes, she does. While you walk in the room and just command it right from the start.
Sometimes, but there is the does she belong here that happens quite often.
Really, yeah. So maybe we all feel that way. And I think that's the other thing, is that sometimes when we, when we envision our future and we see the people that we really respect and we try to emulate them, I think that's great. But at the same time, you can't be them. You have to be yourself.
Absolutely.
So what is that journey to find yourself? For me, for so long was so insecure. Like, I just thought, I wanted to have the best makeup and have the best hair and have the best, so it's like, when straightening came, the straighteners came out, it's like, oh, I got to straighten my hair. And then the thing was the long with the curls. And I'm like, okay, so I have to have the long hair with the curls. And listen, I love those things.
Yes.
I thought they looked great on me. There was nothing. But today, I do those things because I want to, not because I feel that pressure that somehow in order to belong, I have to do them.
That I love.
And And I think what I have really learned is that who I am inside and what is in my mind has a lot of value. And so if I'm more comfortable, like one time I went to a speaking engagement and I had the most cutest suit ever, but it had shorts.
Yes.
And I was like, even at the beginning of my speech, I said, yes, this is a suit with shorts, because I wanted everyone to know. But it's like that being comfortable in that moment was as important as what I had to say, so that I could feel more comfortable saying it.
Yes, I love that. I think, and it's so interesting as you're saying that, one of the things that has come out recently is the bill around Black women's hair. And the reality that any hair is absolutely professional, and the expectation that you will not discriminate based on Black women's hair. And so as you're saying that, it's that part that, like, it ties directly into, we are coming from different places with the same perspective of, it is about being you and embracing you and giving other people the space to do that.
Yes.
I think it's so hard to do.
By being that way myself, it opens up other people to be successful as they are and as who they are.
Absolutely.
And I'm not saying we can't grow or change. We do. My husband would joke that, like, my style changes every 6 months. He's like, in 6 months, Becca, you're going to be back in skinny jeans and flip-flops. Now, like, I might. I don't know.
We're allowed to change our
I was big into the leggings phase. I would still go back to that because those were very comfortable. I would used to hate wearing tennis shoes. And now, but we change and we evolve. And the presentation with which we bring ourselves forward into the world absolutely is going to change and evolve as we do inside. Yes. We recently had a situation where our family dynamic shifted. We took in a little boy. He was 9 months old. He's so sweet.
Oh my goodness. You guys will, of course, when this episode comes out, you'll have access to Becca and you will get to see.
Facebook stalk me. Do it. You'll be in love.
Find her. Yes, Becca McKeithen.
On Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn,
all the things.
Instagram.
He's so cute, though. Oh my goodness.
Yes, but it was so okay. So we have a 10-year-old and a 7-year-old, and then we take in this baby. And I always wanted more children, so it was definitely an embracing moment. Nothing there was no the second they were like, hey, are you guys available to help this child? I was like, yes, of course I are. But we ended up selling our home, and we thought we were going to upsize. We ended up downsizing. We went from a 4-2 to a 3-2, and we really wanted a 4-3 or a 5-3.
Yeah.
But the market is nuts right now.
It is.
And we ended up picking a little country house because it had some beautiful property. And I was like, we'll just live outside. It's fine. It's all good.
Outdoors.
Yeah.
Tent will be fine.
Yeah, we sit outside a lot.
Yeah.
The house is small. And so we move in this house. And, of course, immediately I was like, oh, well, we can, add on or whatever. It's, in the country we have plenty of land and it's fine. And my cousin looked at me and he said, Becca, just live in the house for a little bit. And I was like, okay, yeah, that's good advice. Okay, fine, I'll listen to you this one time. And just kidding, he's really smart.
Only this one.
He's like a big brother to me.
If you're listening, cousin, she adores you.
I do, and you know it. But we got into the house and we started enjoying living a little smaller.
Interesting.
And I will say that, so, you take in the child, that changes your perspective. You sell off the kind of the dream house, not the dream house, but the house you really love that was a little bigger, and you think you're going to move into something, in a sense, bigger and better. Yeah. And instead we moved into something smaller and better.
Yep.
But I didn't realize that right away. And in it, what I really learned was that, I have to take a breath real quick, is that dreams can change. And people tell you all the time, don't give up on your dreams, don't do this, don't do that. There's so many rules in life. And I think that's kind of even what breaks down to this.
Yes.
But I just started to realize my dreams are changing because my circumstances changed. Now I have this other child, and he came to us in less than ideal circumstances. And then we sell our house in a less than ideal time, thinking that we're going to get something bigger. We end up with something smaller because, it was just, we put offers on 3 or 4 houses. So we end up in this little house that we love. And then we ended up loving the house. And I go, my dreams are changing.
Yes.
And my dreams aren't changing because my old dreams were bad.
Yeah.
The old dreams of the bigger house and lots of land and all the things that we were trying to accumulate in our lives weren't bad dreams.
Right.
But they were dreams based on my previous circumstances. And as my circumstances changed, I had to begin to alter my dreams. And so now I'm very happy in my smaller house. I don't plan on adding on. And it's not even like settling. I just have new dreams now.
Yes.
I have dreams that when somebody else comes and knocks on my door with a serious need, that I'm in a financial and healthy headspace to be able to say yes when it matters. You know?
I love that. So I think something that I want to really hold on to, and I encourage each of you as you're listening, as you're watching, to hold on to is that simple statement of dreams can change that has such a punch and such a power, because for so long, I think growing up, at least, you know, you're taught follow your goals and go this path. At least if you're someone that grew up in the, that's, you know, 30 to 40s now, like that was kind of our pathway.
Absolutely.
Younger than 30, you had a different pathway, which is totally.
You had social media to help you form your dreams.
Your dreams
didn't have
different.
those.
We had very much this, like, all right, you're going to school, or if you're not going to school, you're getting a trade. But you know, and it was very much, this is your dream and this is your focus. And it's funny as you say that, it reminds me, and I wrote about it in Fearlessly Made You, but I had an entire shift during so I've been in corporate consulting. As a reminder for all of you, you know, that's my primary job is corporate consulting. And so I've been in corporate consulting for almost 10 years, and about 3.5, 4 years in, everything that I had been aspiring towards totally shifted. My entire, because I'd hit my goal and I never thought beyond that. And so my circumstances and my situation required a change, because I had to, it wasn't even just for me, I was told to change. And I had to shift everything that I thought about. And then I had to realize, but what does my new dream look like? And I was stuck for easily 2 or 3 years. I was just stuck. I didn't know what it was. And I had kept the dream, but never thought about shifting it to this new situation. Yeah. And so I love that you say that, because anyone listening, especially my mamas out there, are like, I'm sorry, you went to a smaller house with more children? Like, wow.
I know. Trust me, I was as shocked as anyone. Our realtor was like, are you sure? Like, I don't even think she wanted, like, if she hadn't been legally obligated to submit the offer, she probably wouldn't have, because she was like, are you sure?
Are we sure? Are we sure? But you were. And I like what you said, though. You're like, it now you're in a better space to offer more to others, which I love. So I want to lean into that, because you as a human person offer so much of yourself in general. But now this is also part of your job. It is, you know, your other part of your life, which you know, which is a good reminder for everyone. Your job is not your entire life. Like, it is part of your life.
Yeah.
So let's talk let's unpack that a little bit, because one of the things I always like to talk about and ask the questions about is being fearlessly made and what that means to you. I hear so much of that power of, and it's, you know, fearless is not living without fear, but not allowing fear to own your journey.
Amen. I loved it. When the first time I heard you speak, right after you'd written the book, that really stuck with me.
Well, it was a reminder for myself, because, and I had talked with someone else about this recently, I'd allowed fear to be such a big part of my life for so long that I'd put myself in this box and these limitations, and it wasn't serving me. And so you have to kind of break out of that.
Yes.
You have broken literally out of it. So I want to go there, and then I really want to talk about your business as well. But let's talk more about Fearlessly Made, what that has meant for you both personally and as you have, you know, started this business as well.
Oh, well, I mean, I will tell you that I have so it goes perfectly along with your book, but a phrase that I had seen previous to reading it that I don't even think I fully understood until I heard you speak that first time at one of the Studer teachings, or, you know, the symposiums. And it said, if you can't beat fear, do it scared.
Yep, every time.
And that's about how I live my life. One of our board members at FoodRaising Friends, the nonprofit, she goes, "You're just so high strung," and I'm like, "I know. I don't even know how to stop being high strung."
Yeah.
And it's like, if I'm not high strung about this, I'm high strung about that. Yeah. I think that people would have. So when we took in our youngest, people were like, "Oh, you're so good for doing that." I'm like, who would have said no to this? But
right.
I guess people do. I don't know.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I even feel like I know those people, but apparently I felt like I don't feel like we're anything special. I feel like when you do the right thing, that's how society should function. And I actually believe in the goodness of people. I really think that most people are good and have good intentions. And when they make a mistake, that a lot of times, sometimes it truly is an ignorance. You don't know what you don't know. And then it's our job as an empathetic, compassionate society to teach people as we go. And I think that you probably have a ton to say on that as you are building your empire. I mean, it is, but it's so true. Even why you chose to stay here based on our other conversation, which I'm sure she'll talk about in another episode, because that's
we have so many conversations.
We've had so many.
Becca will be back. Don't you worry. Becca will be back. I'm going to have literally just a girls chat. We're going to spend like an hour just having a girls chat with multiple women that you guys have had a chance to meet, because I think it's what you're saying though is so, you have said so many things, which is great.
So much to say.
Which is great. But I want you to keep going though. Continue though.
But and I think I probably even just lost my train of thought. But
that's all right.
The reality is that I'm one of those people that everyone thinks I'm so confident, and I'm so glad that is the perception that people have of me, that I am willing to overcome my insecurity and my fear to present myself as a confident person in this world. I will tell you, I say that this is my personal saying. I'm extremely insecure, but I never let that hold me back from going and doing the thing, or going and putting myself out there again and again. Even if I go home and cry in the closet later, that, oh my gosh, did they like me? Did they accept me? And all this. And I know I'm like doing like that fake, like kind of sarcastic cry, but that's literally the things I go home and just like that circulate in my mind after like an event, or even after this. Did I do a good job? Did they accept me? Did they like me? Did I say the wrong thing? But I never let those voices stop me from going out and doing it again.
Yes.
Now, of course, if there's a place where there was need for pause, and like, hey, maybe I shouldn't have said that, then I'm probably going to walk into society and never say it again. I'll grow as a person.
Yes.
But in general, I'm not going to let it stop me from going out and doing it again.
Yes. I love that. Yes.
With FoodRaising Friends, I absolutely never intended it to be what it is today. Okay. I was teaching. I was very happy teaching. I would go back to teaching tomorrow if I could manage teaching, raising my family, and running FoodRaising Friends. But FoodRaising Friends has grown to a point that is not possible. Yeah. That is not filling up one plate too much. That's filling up 3 plates too much.
To be fair.
And you only get to do that on Thanksgiving, people.
Girl. Oh, anyway, we're not going to digress.
But I started, and I wanted to just feed the kids at my daughter's school at the time, and the program that I taught for, which was Head Start in Santa Rosa County. All poverty or children that lived at poverty or below, as far as the poverty line goes, they are in Head Start because Head Start is trying to give them that hand up when they go to kindergarten, get them kindergarten ready.
Absolutely.
And found out, here you have 280 families. Most of them are doing fine. There's about 80 families in the school that are food needy. And I was like, what's that? And it was that these children really rely on free breakfast and lunch at school. And so I was like, well, what are we doing this Thanksgiving break, Christmas break, all this? I was like, what do we do? And they were like, well, we don't do anything. And I said, well, that didn't sit right with me. Yeah. And again, people say, wow, you're so special for doing that. And the truth is, I don't feel special for doing it. I feel like it was the right thing to do. Yeah. And that had somebody else been faced with that same information, that they would have done the same thing. Yeah. Now I've learned that there are plenty of people who wanted to do the same thing, they just didn't know how. Well, the difference between me and them, I didn't know how either, but I was willing to throw myself out there. Yeah. And so, I just started raising food, and I started raising money, and then other schools wanted the program, and now we're in something like, we have like 22 programs now.
I love
it's outrageous.
It's a good reminder too, like when you see a need, meet it. Like
you might be that person.
You might be. And I think what you said though is really important, is you're like, well, I was at a school. I had the opportunity to help the kids I saw that were in need. And I think what happens is we think that we have to do this big thing. If you have an opportunity to see someone in need, I think and it has to feel right in your heart too.
Yes.
Because not everyone is called to do all the things.
No, we all can't do what I'm doing.
Exactly.
But the funny thing is almost you become like a funnel.
Yes.
And,
yes. You open it up for other people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What I really say is like with FoodRaising Friends, like I call it our family of friends.
Yes.
Because it's not a one-man show.
Yeah.
I've had amazing people come beside me. Had my friend Kelly Harding not jumped in with me in the beginning, we would not be where we are today because she was the one that was like, we should turn this into a nonprofit. We should do this. I'm like, okay, sure. And again, I'm scared. I'm like,
you have the action person. Yeah.
But she had this vision. And even though she's no longer a part of the organization, it taught me to dream a little bigger.
Yes.
And it taught me that it was possible because it's just like this. Just like I was willing to be the mouthpiece, hey, we should feed these kids. And then I found other people who had a like vision and wanted to help. And we have like 300 volunteers. Wow. I mean, like an outrageous amount of people who care about what we're doing between donors. And so it's a family of friends. It's not a one-person show. I just happened to be the mouthpiece that was willing to say we should do this.
Yes.
And I was willing to take the time to learn and figure out the best way to do it. And then the second thing is I had that friend Kelly who was the mouthpiece that said this could be bigger than what you think it could be.
Yeah.
And so each person has a role. And when you are presented with those opportunities, I think oftentimes the only thing you have to ask yourself is, am I going to say yes or no? Is it the right time for me? Is it something I can do?
Yep.
Or is it something I'm willing to learn to do?
Oh, I like that. Willing to learn to do. Yeah.
Because that was me. I mean, I was clueless. And for 5 years, I still taught in my classroom full time.
Yes.
And worked FoodRaising Friends on the side. COVID-19 pandemic is what took us from me being in the classroom full time to having to step away because while we were in a situation, the food needs just arose so much with people experiencing unemployment, with people being quarantined and not being able to work. And in Santa Rosa County especially, we have a lot of rural areas, and the children were separated from their school meals for 3 months.
Wow.
And were we planning on feeding kids for 3 straight months? Absolutely not. No. But did we do it? Absolutely.
Yeah. Yep. It was the right thing to do. Well, and I think and we're going to give everyone a chance. One of the things I want to make sure of is the great part about these conversations are we have no idea where they're going to go. Let's be really honest.
I know. I was a little nervous. I told her. I was asking myself fake questions this morning while I was getting ready, interviewing myself.
True Becca form. I'm just going to ask myself some questions. But I think something that is so powerful is there's probably someone that's listening that's like, this is helping me identify where I can actually make a difference, or this may be somewhere where someone wants to make a difference. So we're going to make sure you guys all have access to how you can connect to FoodRaising Friends,
Absolutely.
But also how you can connect to, you said it earlier, that empathetic place in our hearts and in our lives. And I think we, especially throughout the past couple of years, sometimes lose that. And it gets elevated because we get into situations where we're just like, I see a need, but I'm also in need. But then it's like, but can you meet it? And it's exactly what you said. It's like, is it the right place for you? Or are you holding yourself back because you're afraid of what that could mean? And I think something that is really powerful is learning from others. And I would love for you to share, as you're thinking about what this transition in your life has meant, multiple transitions, let's be real honest, multiple transitions. Other people are probably listening and they're like, she literally took the leap in all these things that I was like, I don't even know how to get there. What advice would you give someone to take the leap or to lean into that uncomfortableness, or like you said, overcoming those insecurities?
You said the most perfect word. It's uncomfortable.
Girl, every time.
Unsettling feeling. So recently, one of our fabulous WAR ladies, Sue Strawn, interviewed me because she had picked me to be Angels in Our Midst. I was her pick. I had no idea. But she lied to me. Sue.
And were you listening?
And she told me she was coming to interview me about childhood hunger. So like, again, I'm prepping myself on our facts, everything.
What a beautiful surprise.
And then it turned out to be Angels in Minutes. And she asked me, so I told her, I was telling her the backstory of it. And she goes, Becca, she said, stop. She said, what is the heart behind it? What was that moment that pulled you and said that it had to be you, that somehow it had to, like, almost that heartstring was pulled, and it's like pulling something out of yourself to give back to these children. And I said, because I was so uncomfortable knowing that if I didn't, they were going to go hungry.
Yes.
And I think that is where we can really, when we're at those forks in the road, decide if it's a yes or if it's a no or if it's an opportunity to learn. Because if you're not uncomfortable with, if you could live your life knowing that you never did what it is that you're being asked to do, then the answer is no. If you can live in a world that continues to be the way it is without you taking that scary step, the answer is no.
Absolutely.
But if you're uncomfortable and you know you can't move forward with the world being as it is without you saying yes or learning how to do it, then you got to decide, do I know how to do it? Do I have the skill set? And then you get to walk down the yes lane. That would be nice. That'd be so easy.
Girl.
It wouldn't even be easy. It'd be easier.
We're in there.
Or, you know, for me, it was saying, am I willing to walk down this completely unknown path? I didn't know a thing about nonprofits. I don't have a business background. I was an educator. I didn't know how to raise money. I'm not a fundraiser or a development officer of any type. And I could not live in a world where what I wanted to do didn't exist anymore.
I love that. I
think that's the question you have to ask yourself. How uncomfortable are you? You know, I want to circle back because I don't want this all to be about me. Because no one ever, I mean, I know it is about me.
This is about you.
But it's about you and it's like your book.
It is about your journey, my friend.
But you were talking about like the women with like women of color, like with their natural hair and like that whole movement towards that. And I'm so glad that as a society, somebody somewhere said, I don't know what the fight's going to look like, but I've got to do this for people who have textured hair and natural hair, because how unfair is our world to say that one is less than the other. And I will say, I remember, you know, even in high school, so this is not that long ago. I mean, I'd like to pretend like it's not that long ago. Only 18 years. But,
a couple years.
You know.
A couple years.
But that, you know, it was like afros are distracting, all this. And it's like, no, this is who people are. Yep. And so how grateful are you that people are walking down that path? Because you shared even before this, do they know that you used to be a pageant person?
Fearlessly Made You crew, you guys probably knew I used to compete in pageants, but if you didn't, I used to compete in pageants. I was Miss North Carolina International years ago. Woo! Tiny things, little tiny things. Maybe I will wear my crown next time. Who knows?
You should sometime. You should. You should wear it for a little, like, like fireside chat thing.
Yes.
But, you know, you were sharing how you had long hair and before you cut it short. And I love this look on you, but I also love what you do with it and how you change. Like, I remember when I first met you was rose gold. I was like, oh my God, she has the best color hair. I want rose gold hair. And I could totally have rose gold hair. I'm just not willing to pay or do the work to keep it up.
There's a lot.
Exactly.
There's a lot.
This does not maintain itself.
No.
And so, you know, it's that every problem in this world does have a solution. And how uncomfortable are you to be part of it?
Yes. You know, Becca, the thing that I love is your ability and willingness to lean into those really difficult conversations. Part of that, too, is I always like to close out our time with giving us a little reprieve and a little bit of grace as we have, again, we never know where the conversation is going to go. Yeah. The depth and the beauty and the honesty, but also giving ourselves a chance to kind of look up and have a little bit of balance in our lives. You know, we're having a nice glass of wine here, which is always wonderful. And as you guys know, I love a good glass of wine. So for me, my question, like my final thing that I want to ask you is, as you think about balance and you think about the ways that you're finding your own reprieve, and I know that is so difficult and uncomfortable, what's if there's one thing that you're doing right now to try and kind of give yourself the grace to have a little balance, what is that?
Oh my gosh, this is a terrible question.
I know, so I'm asking it.
You're like, that's my job.
You're welcome.
So no, it's going to be a quiz at the end.
Yep.
You know, can I ask you what you do for balance? Because I feel like for me, like the best thing I can say is that I have not 100% figured out what balance in my life looks like.
Yep.
So teach me.
I have not either. I actually started off this morning. I was having a conversation with the fabulous Jordan, who does my makeup, and I was telling her, I was like, my blood pressure is real high right now, like real high. So I'm identifying moments where I find peace. So there are places where, for me, I have, we all have our things. I have post-traumatic stress disorder, so I already have high anxiety.
Yeah.
I have depression. I have, also high blood pressure. So just toss all that in together. So I have to
real
find,
good combination.
I know, just throw them all in
Successful.
there. So I'll feel in my chest pressure, and I'll feel that in the back of my neck pressure. And so this is going to sound really funny. Days like today, where I get to have conversation and do something I love, releases a lot of that pressure for me. And for everyone, your balance is going to look different. For me, sitting still is a necessary evil to achieve balance so that I can actually regroup and reset, because my brain is constantly going. But that's not a problem. Like, my brain is constantly going because that's how I'm built and wired. I just have to find the 5 minutes of still and peace to just stop for a minute and evaluate where I need to be. So that is where I find a little bit of balance. Spending time with my family is huge. Like, we have every week, I have a sibling happy hour that we virtually do. It's so much fun. But I find that balance has changed, and it constantly changes for me based on where I'm at in my life. So my biggest advice for identifying balance is choose today. So on this day, what does it look like for me to experience 5 minutes of peace? And that's your balance. Because I think we try and do too much.
Yeah, in 5 minutes, that's not asking too much of yourself.
It isn't, and it'll start to expand, right?
Absolutely,
It's the little things, but I think that's one of the big things, and it's why I have wine on this show, because I'm like, if I can give you a few minutes of hanging out and chatting and drinking some wine, and that gives you a little bit of balance, fabulous. And it also helps our Fearlessly Made You crew learn so much more about you, but also learn themselves. I can take that minute. I can take just a little bit of time just to breathe and sit back.
It's just like having girlfriend time. So last night I was writing an article. How much time? I don't know.
Oh, you're good. You're so funny.
I'll just keep talking
You're
forever.
good. Yep, you're good.
Well, I'll see you guys. We'll be here till tomorrow.
Yeah.
So I was writing an article for a local mom collective, and it's about, and it was titled, "My Daughter Has a Mental Health Diagnosis." And so we also have that unique circumstance at our house. So I have anxiety, so but I didn't start really dealing with it until I was an adult. My daughter, when she was young, we just knew something was kind of different, and her reactions. And even up in this morning, I was on the phone with her, which was some of the reason I'm always running late. There's always a reason.
I know that about you, girl.
There's always a reason.
Yes.
And today it was just this kind of compounded reason. And one thing that is a challenge is that I'm just still figuring out what our life looks like with the baby and the diagnosis and a new house and running a business. That the needs in our community constantly change. And so the only thing that really relates to what you just said, and from the article I wrote last night, is sometimes I have to make the choice to keep working with my doctor, make sure I have the medication I need, keep going to therapy and taking care of myself that way. And I wrote, but I also have great friends to talk to.
You do.
And so that is one thing, though, that I absolutely know. Maybe I don't feel like I have balance in my life, but I have the most amazing village of people around me. I'm so blessed. I have wonderful parents. I have wonderful in-laws. I have wonderful friends. I have a friend I can call in every circumstance that knows what to say. I know who to call when I'm dealing with this. I know who to call when I'm dealing with that. And so, I have people who can bring balance back to my life.
That's exactly.
So it's a work in progress.
It is. Well, Becca, you truly are a joy as always. I think the thing that I love is exactly this is a perfect way to close out our time, because it's that girlfriend chat. It's that reality of we can bring that to each other and have those moments. So thank you so very much for being on Fearlessly Made You. I appreciate you. And guys, as always, make sure you stay tuned and listen in to the next episode of Fearlessly Made You.